Look, dude, you just signed yourself on for what? $60 million? Good for you, man. Live your life.
But, like, just pay your hydro bill.
Stick talk. 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 Stick talk.
And hockey.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 103 of Stick Talk Hockey.
Normal ass episode. I don't have anything catchy for this either.
Like we said last one, we're in the hundreds now.
It's a beautiful time. Beautiful
It's
era.
a beautiful time to be a part of Stick Talk Hockey, to be a fan of Stick Talk Hockey, to be a fan of hockey in general. Exciting stuff going on. We're here for another week. We got lots of stuff to get into. As always, I am your host, Tico. This is my co-host.
I'm yours truly.
We got our producer over there.
Producer Jay.
And some big signings this week. Some good stories. Some records broken and a wild card race that's still going right now. Fun stuff.
Yeah. No, it's been honestly really, really awesome hockey the last week or so.
Yeah, it has 100%.
How about those goddamn Blues?
I mean,
Can you believe it?
the three of us put us in a park, put a jester hat on us, and throw some rotten tomatoes at us because we all wrote the Blues off.
100%. How could you not, though? I mean,
I know.
The night before we did that episode where we were like, oh yeah, they're cooked. Like
Yeah.
they literally got blown out by the Penguins.
They did. By the 2025 Pittsburgh Penguins. Those ones.
And since then they haven't lost.
It's so insane.
it reminds me of when LA stole the 8th seed.
Yeah.
And they were just so good going into the playoffs. So you're just like, could they do it? I don't think they could do it. Could they do it? Nah. And then there they are.
I really hope that's not what happens because, like, I still don't believe it. Like, they're getting elevated by some pretty insane percentages right now that, maybe it's one of those things where, you get the new coach and yes, he's a fantastic coach. Don't get me wrong. He was great in Boston, but like maybe you go on a run like that. But like, I don't think we're going to look, even if they win the Stanley Cup, I don't think you're looking back at it the way we look at the 2012 Kings where it's so clear in retrospect as the years went on after that year. It's like, yeah, that team was a wagon and won again 2 years later. You know what I mean?
I mean, it might.
Maybe.
It might. I mean, if you go through it, like, you got Jordan Kyrou, who's been written off, but scratching at the glass forever.
He's great, yeah.
You got Jake Neighbors.
Yep.
Another very solid player.
Yeah.
You've got Zach Bolduc, who
Sure.
is a up-and-coming rookie who has like 25, 30 points this season.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
You got Shen.
Braden Shen, yeah.
Yep. So, like, they got some
He's a
weapons.
dog.
And
He's
I
a
mean,
dog.
like, parallels, right? You got, like, Shen doing the Dustin Brown impression.
Yeah.
You got Bennington doing his best Jonathan Quick
That's
impression.
true. I know, but like, and
Eh,
maybe those players all turn out to be Hall of Famers. But that's the thing, right? Is that LA had multiple Hall of Famers on that team.
it's true.
You know,
Who's going to be the Kopitar?
exactly. And maybe I'm wrong, but looking at the shooting percentage over the last 2 weeks or so, I don't think it's completely sustainable. I'm not expecting them to stumble, but I don't know how long they can keep it going. But good for that. I mean, it's been so much fun to watch. I'm so happy that at least the West seems like they want it.
Is a little intriguing. Yeah, thank God.
Like the East, it reminds me of last year. Like all of these teams are just kind of fumbling around. Like the Rangers tonight fumble a game that they had in the bag against the Anaheim Ducks of all teams. They fumble it. Columbus fumbled so hard, and then they beat Vancouver today in an insane 7-6 game. I don't know. The East has just been ridiculous, but at least in the West, like St. Louis, Vancouver, Calgary, all playing well, all actually feel like they're fighting for the spot rather than just like stumbling around.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Teams that you even counted out in the West are actually making a pull, whereas teams that you thought would even be making a pull in the East are doing the teams you
Nothing.
counted. Yeah, they're doing terrible. They look like the teams you counted out.
Except Utah. Utah maybe belongs in the East. Maybe season on the line last night. Like such a huge game for them. Get blown out 8-0. Worst loss of any team this season. Uh-oh.
I really wanted to see that team make the playoffs
Me
too.
too.
That's a fun team. Like
It's curtains.
it would have been a first round bounce, but I just wanted to see it, you know?
You know, I'm interested in Minnesota. I know that they've been pretty handily locked into the wild card one, but they are the ones that are stumbling right now. And if they can kind of continue that, I mean, they had a good couple games this week, but like they still got a lot of injuries. I don't know, like a team like a Calgary or a Vancouver, I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they're gunning for over St. Louis, who have been just so hot. It doesn't look like they're moving at all.
100%. And I mean, Calgary's not entirely out of it.
No, absolutely not.
They've definitely proven that they belong somewhere in the chase.
Yeah.
And they have players, like they've always had tools
Mhm.
and really, really useful assets. It's just that they weren't performing to any standard that we're used to.
Yeah.
And now they kind of are.
And I mean, the problem for them right now is that Dustin Wolf hasn't been, he may still be the Calder winner, but the last month or so, he hasn't quite been at the same caliber that he was early in the season. And it's to be expected as a rookie goaltender playing a full starter workload. We're seeing the same out of Kevin Lankinen in Vancouver right now. It is to be expected, but it's hard to make that push when you're not getting that goaltending. Kevin Lankinen lets in 7 tonight. That's rough. I know we talked about this a bit already, but like Elvis Merzlikins, given the crowd, the like, no, the after letting in 6 goals and barely eking out a shootout win, I was like, give me a break, dude.
After your GM said that you were an untradeable asset because no one wanted you.
Give me a break.
Yikes.
Anyways.
He's got mojo. He's got moxie. You got to love it.
Got mojo and moxie. That's 100% true.
Really quick, actually,
Yeah.
just while we're still kind of near the subject, dipping back to the Blues really quick, I saw a fun stat the other day because we were talking about the new coaching.
Yeah.
Holloway.
Good old
It was
Dylan.
something like 51 points in 53 games since he.
Wow.
Is that not intriguing?
Yeah.
Makes it a little bit more of a bid for that final seed and a
Yeah.
little bit of a push, honestly.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Like, we talked about this when it happened, but Boston letting him go was maybe you had to do it. I understand.
Did you though?
But he's been, I mean, St. Louis has been so good since he got there.
And that's my thing is, did you though? Like, if you know that that's a great coach, do you gotta fire him? If you knew this team had one foot out the door already, then like, isn't firing the coach just like creating a landslide out of a couple rocks tumbling?
Yeah.
I don't really see the necessity in just.
Boston got vintage. Speaking of Boston, they got vintage California road tripped this week. Like, you remember when the California road trip was a gauntlet?
Yeah.
It was like, oh God, we got to go through LA and Anaheim and San Jose.
Yep.
Now, it hasn't been that for a long time. LA is good, but that's it.
Yeah. I mean, the weather was great on those trips, but like the
And
game sucked.
Boston just went through them and got spanked by all 3. That's so embarrassing.
And it's a long flight home.
Yeah, it is.
That's a tough ride.
Like, losing badly to both Anaheim and the San Jose Sharks is really, really tough. I mean, that poor team is just being held together by David Pastrnak somehow, but it's tough scenes out in Boston.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what we figured was going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can only push back Father Time so much. Like,
Oh, it makes me so happy that, you know, that meme where it's like me at my wedding, me at the downfall of the Boston Bruins.
yes.
So
Yes.
relatable. 2 teams have clinched the playoff spots.
'Kay.
Officially, mathematically, the Winnipeg Jets are in, and the Washington Capitals are in for sure.
Naturally.
Washington Capitals, big week for them. They get Jacob Chychrun done.
And some news broke about the guy this week too after the big contract, and it's weird because normally you don't hear big news that's contractual or
Yeah,
like on
especially-
ice obligated. But
yeah, yeah.
this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, the contract, they give him 7 years, $9 million a year.
It's good pay.
It's good pay. It's a big contract. For a guy who's been hurt a lot, this is a little bit of maybe a little bit of sticker shock for some people, but in a bit of a new cap era, a new cap environment, we're going to start seeing more like this. And then, yeah, the report comes out that he sold his Tesla because he had a weird feeling about sitting on a battery.
Not because of Elon Musk.
No.
That had nothing to do with that. He was just didn't like the battery anymore.
He didn't like the battery. And we have a little bit of a history of hearing about Jacob Chychrun doing some interesting things.
Yeah.
He seems to be a little bit wild. Dylan Strome also, like a couple weeks ago, said that his new thing was wanting to have no light bulbs in his house.
Bro's living in candlelight.
Which, by the way, really, really not good for you. Inhaling candle fumes like that.
I believe it.
It's really quite bad for you. I think people don't really know that. It's not really talked about very much. But if you inhale like too much candle fumes, it's really, really bad for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
The more you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Also, like, remember a couple years ago, we put out an episode called Jacob Chychrun is the Liver King.
Yep. Yeah, we
'cause
did.
He was only eating raw beef hearts and raw liver.
I recall this. Yep.
Just an interesting fella, that Jacob Chychrun.
I would love to see a reality show about Jacob Chychrun and his life.
Me too.
Yeah, I bet he does live like the Liver King. Like, I bet he puts his phone in like a plastic bag wrapped in tinfoil and like buries it 6 feet underground before he steps onto his property.
He seems like a bizarre fella. And you know what I like to see? I like to see sometimes a little bit more about what these people are actually like, because sometimes it's easy to forget that pretty much all of these NHL players don't have really past a 9th grade education.
Facts.
You know?
And it also shows that they're also humans that just have some incredibly weird belief systems
Yeah.
and superstitions pregame and
100%. And like, look, dude, you just signed yourself on for what? $60 million? Good for you, man. Live your life.
but like just pay your hydro bill.
Yeah.
Jesus, like you know.
So I don't know. I would like a reality TV show as well, and I'd like to keep an eye on Jacob Chychrun as a Washington Capital for a long time because fun to see. I like that.
Yeah, I'm happy for him too. I mean, this is a guy who had a lot of uncertainty in the early years of his
Absolutely,
career, and
yeah.
you know, he was in the media a lot as a big question mark of is he worth it? Is he worth it? Is he cut out to be the hype train that he was?
Yeah, and he was John Gibson.
Absolutely.
Every single year, Arizona's gonna deal Jacob Chychrun, but they won't retain because they have no money.
Don't even get me
Yeah,
started on Arizona.
I know.
I'm like choking it back right now.
Yeah. No, good for him. Good for him, for sure. Tortorella.
Torty.
A saga has ended. Another era of Tort's coaching has come to a close this week.
And in such poetic fashion too.
Indeed.
In the most Torts way possible.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It cuts the driest press conference known to man.
It was clear.
That's a guy who is checked out.
Yeah. And you know it, like you know that everyone felt a way about it because, like, they let him resign. And it's like, there's 10 games left in the season.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because he said he resigned, but then later the Flyers came out and were like, no, we fired you.
Well, they allowed him to resign.
Whatever.
Yeah. So maybe a mutual parting of ways.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There was apparently an incident with Cam York, who doesn't even get healthy scratched. He literally gets dressed sits on the bench and doesn't play a single shift the entire game.
I was thinking about this. That's gotta hurt way more than being scratched.
Way more.
The only reason they did this is so that they didn't violate an NHL rule, because you can't underdress
Yeah.
like willingly.
Yeah.
So you had to have the extra skater there, even if you didn't plan on playing him.
But still, that's so disrespectful. In all
Yeah.
seriousness.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
This NHL season has been as predictable as a puck rolling on its edge. No one knows where it's going. But that just means there's time for your favorite team to figure things out and games left for you to get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
I would have told them to go and take a lap while like it was intermission. Be like, all right, this shift's yours, and then like get him out there and be like, actually, come back in. Come back in.
Yeah,
Sit down.
100%. So yeah, I mean, a poetic ending. In big Torts fashion, this closes. You know.
Absolutely. I also thought it was hilarious. He was like, I don't want to learn how to coach a team like this where it's at. And then they were just like, then don't.
Then don't. Bye-bye.
Bye. Here's your coat.
Interesting, you know, as obviously the resident Canucks guy here, very interesting that it seems they're going to make a very big pitch to Rick Tocchet. I'm a big Rick Tocchet guy. I quite like Rick Tocchet. I think he's a very good NHL coach. And I don't really think that coaches matter in the NHL all that much. I just think you need to not have bad coaches is really all you need.
Yeah, I agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I think you can have a coach that really changes the outcome of a team like we see with the Blues, because that was a team that was a sinkhole of talent. And now they're kind of efficient.
They are, for sure. I think like a good coach can get more points out of a team than they would without, but like maybe 10 points. You know what I mean?
It makes a difference, but it's not like the most.
I think it only
break.
really matters when you have a bad coach.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
when you have like who's the guy in Anaheim? What's his name right now? I can't
Cronin.
remember. Cronin.
Yep.
That's a problem.
Or Ottawa last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for the most part, I really like Rick Tocchet. I don't want to see him go. I think he's a good coach for this team, notably because Quinn Hughes says he's his favorite coach he's ever played for. And Vancouver's entire life goal needs to be Project Keep Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, make that man happy.
Now, Philly, though, that's a problem because Rick Tocchet has a lot of ties to Philadelphia. He's played for Philadelphia. He played for Philadelphia twice. They drafted him. He's very familiar with the city. He's said that he likes it there. He knows the ownership groups. I'm a little bit concerned about that, and I hope that that pitch doesn't work.
You know, I'd be really concerned too on a different scope of concern. Philly's a team that has been bad, and as Briere said in his presser after, this is rock bottom. There's literally nothing worse than this.
Yeah.
If you're really at that level of rock bottom, you have to imagine that the coach you're bringing in is someone that has a vision on how to build a cup-winning team.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with the Canucks ownership right now, which is so goddamn intrusive, invasive, and problematic, it's hard not to say no. I would take a pay cut just to have more control over like my roster, my team, how things happen in the media. I would 100% do that in a heartbeat.
It's definitely concerning for me. Yeah, 100% it is.
It's also a better career move, you'd have to imagine. I mean, sure, Philly's like it's not a lateral move. Philly's a much worse team, but you have to imagine the ceiling's much higher in an ownership group that believes in you enough to go, who do you think we should get?
Potentially.
Versus here's who we're selling and deal with it.
Yeah, 100%. Did you see Matvey Michkov scores in his first shift after Torts leaves? Had a guy.
Art imitates life.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Huh?
That's so awesome.
Do we have anything else on Torts? Do you think he gets do you think he gets rehired?
I've heard that he was going to call it quits anyways. Like he was kind of done with the whole coaching thing and his next step was going to be like in an office. But I think he's also hard-headed enough to have his arm twisted back into doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be the Rangers.
God. Torts back in New York.
Absolutely.
You know, I was having nightmares thinking about Torts back in Vancouver in another coaching swap because that's what Vancouver and the Rangers did. They swapped Vigneault for Tortorella. If you swap Tortorella for Rick Tocchet, nightmare fuel for me. Look, I'm a big Torts guy. Love Torts. Don't want him anywhere near the Canucks. Sorry.
That's
send
fair.
him back to New York. Let
That's
JT
valid.
Miller deal with him. That go well.
Torts to the Devils.
Yeah.
Just whip the shit out of that defensive core for a year. Honestly, they need it.
I think that's a great idea because Luke will join the Canucks sooner than I thought he would.
Crosby?
Sidney Crosby breaking a Wayne Gretzky record. Unbelievable stuff. Secures his 20th point per game season, breaking the all-time record, which was of course Wayne Gretzky's. 20 seasons at a point per game. Pretty unbelievable stuff.
I just realized Crosby's had as many point per game seasons as I've watched hockey.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a season where he hasn't had a PPG season since I started
Watching hockey.
at age 8.
Yeah.
Like religiously.
It's unbelievable.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
like we're spoiled. We are so spoiled.
We are. I'm not sure if we've brought this up on the podcast. I feel like maybe I have in the past, but like we are so spoiled to have seen Crosby and Ovi have these careers. Like I feel like when we were young, it was like I remember when they were coming up.
It was so exciting.
And it was so exciting. And it was like, imagine what these careers are going to be like, right? And then, you know, we I feel like we've had that since then, where we've had, you know, like McDavid and Matthews, right? Imagine what this is going to be like. Wow. And then, you know, we find out that McDavid is that guy. And Matthews is kind of like, he's an excellent goal scorer, but there's not really the head-to-head thing. There's not really that rivalry. There's not really, he doesn't have his cup. You know, it's not the same as like, wow, we had all of this hype about Crosby and Ovechkin, and oh my God, did they ever live up to it and more. Like, the two of them have the opportunity to pass Gretzky records this year at like 40 years old. We saw their first ever playoff hat tricks against each other. We saw the fights year over year in the playoffs. Both of them are Stanley Cup winners. Crosby's 2-time Olympic gold winner. I mean, like, it's so special. It's so special.
I was going to say, to have like such a close head-to-head with two players that couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah.
And just such a vital contrast of like hockey in itself. Like, you have the really defensively sound, offensive juggernaut of positioning in Sidney Crosby that can just, you know, put a pass through a phone booth window.
Canadian hero.
And then you have just the uncageable talent of Ovechkin, the pure creativity and ruthlessness.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see how the debate has really shaped out over the years.
100%.
Because I don't think that there was ever, and we will ever have, a clear-cut answer. Because you could justify both of them, especially
Absolutely.
now that Ovi is going to clip that
Yeah.
Gretzky record.
Yeah.
If he didn't, yeah, maybe you could have said Crosby, because the 20-point-per-game seasons is pretty goddamn sick.
So special.
But how many times in your life are you going to see someone break the all-time goal-scoring record?
I mean, like, it really is. Like, I think that now you can just get to the point where, like, you can maybe say Sidney Crosby is the most complete hockey player of all time,
100%.
and Alex Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer of all time. And it's like, it's different worlds, but that's so unbelievable that we've gotten to witness this our entire lives.
100%. And it's so amazing that you can commend both of these players to be the upper echelon of what they are without deterring from the argument of another one now. There's no
Yeah.
like crossover or intersection where their games, you're like, oh, well, you know, this and that. It's like, no, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
both elite.
Yeah.
And how special, how special to have them in the same division.
For real.
Like, that's the big kicker.
That is the big kicker, watching them play against each other year over year.
Yeah, and
head
not
to
just
head.
like 2 games a season.
Yeah,
Not just,
exactly.
4 in the
So, I mean,
playoffs.
in the playoffs, yeah. Special stuff. And, to even extrapolate past that and past hockey, like, the fact that, like, that's so special to me that, like, it feels like a childhood, like, dream that came true in a sense, that they both became so special, along with LeBron.
Yeah,
Like, without that we've witnessed both of these careers, all 3 of these careers has been, I mean, like, just, you got to just sit back and enjoy the greatness while it's still here, because, like, look, we are maybe in a new golden era of the NHL. It's been fantastic. But-
I'm loving it.
Boy, oh boy, there's going to be some pain in my heart when we are in a league that no longer has Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin in it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and I have to say the same thing about a couple of other players as well, like Fleury, for example.
Yeah, Fleury as well. I mean, those are really the big 3. Like, because I've had those moments, right, already. I'm sure you have as well, right? Like, when Joe Thornton retired, I was like, oh, that's a moment for me. When the Sedins retired, that was a big one. Like, that was a huge part of my early hockey watching life, obviously. Luongo as well.
Yeah. Carey Price.
Henrik Lundqvist. But, like, Crosby and Ovi, that's going to be something. Speaking of Ovechkin and Marc-Andre Fleury, though.
Yeah.
What a moment. A perfect segue right from this. I mean, Ovechkin, at the Washington Capitals play the Minnesota Wild the other night. At the end of the game, Capitals are leaving the ice. Ovi goes over to some of the players going down the tunnel, calls them all back out there to get them to all go shake hands with Fleury. Maybe the last time that Ovi will play him. Again, like, I was having flashbacks to those Penguins Capitals series and seeing those handshakes, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. The meeting at center. And normally, like, it was the first time that you got to see them both shake hands
Yeah.
and, like, smile and
Yes.
enjoy the moment,
Yes.
which was so cool.
It was so cool.
And
yeah.
what a class act. Because you lost
for
the
real.
game, too.
Yeah, they lost the game.
Yeah.
100%. Class act from Alexander Ovechkin, 100%. Really, really cool to see. I think of those 3 back to back. Same way I think about, like, Vancouver, Chicago. Like, that felt like it was every single year. It was also 3 in a row.
We'll feel that way about Carolina and the Islanders soon enough. The way the hockey gods like to play around.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, so it had been a while, but that first one was the one where they had the matching hat tricks, right? Yeah. 09. Unbelievable. I think that's about it for the news. We just have some notable games to go over for this week, and that's really about it.
Yeah. Some exciting stuff coming up again.
Absolutely, there is. Not a whole lot of head-to-head wildcard games, which is, as Jonesy put, a little bit disappointing. However, I think those are coming next week. This week we do have a lot of games though, all week long. A lot of the teams in action. The night that this podcast comes out is a banger night in the NHL. I don't know what's going on a Tuesday night in the NHL, but this Tuesday, it's everything. Every single wildcard team except for the Rangers and Vancouver are in action. That's awesome. The nightcap games are bangers and potential playoff matchups. Vegas, Edmonton will be playing each other. LA and Winnipeg will be playing each other. Both awesome games.
Clearing my schedule.
Yep, 100%. Tuesday,
Forget about it.
we be watching some hockey. Wednesday, we got Minnesota and the Rangers playing each other. Like I said, I'm watching to see if Minnesota stumbles a little bit here. The Rangers have been playing such uninspired hockey that it's a little bit of a stumble off. So I'm interested in that game for sure. Vancouver will be in action. They're playing Seattle. Florida versus Toronto will be playing as well, and they're separated by 1 point for first in the Atlantic. Big game there. Thursday, we got Montreal, Columbus, St. Louis all in action. Nightcap game is Vegas, Winnipeg. That should be a heater as well. Definitely get some eyes on that. Wild and the Islanders are playing on Friday. Not the most exciting matchup I've ever heard of in my life, but there's not a lot of games going on, and that's the only wildcard team that's in action. Saturday, we got the whole lineup again. Calgary, Columbus, Montreal, St. Louis, Vancouver, the Rangers all in action. Sunday, you've got Columbus versus Ottawa. That'll be my game I'm watching. Vancouver, the Islanders, Montreal all playing as well. Monday night, you're going to have the Rangers, the Blues, and the Calgary Flames all playing, and that is your week in the NHL.
I'm not going to lie. I'm way more interested in watching all of these wildcard teams than I am watching any of the big games, as weird as that sounds. Like, I'm excited to see Vegas, Edmonton, Winnipeg, LA. Like, those sound great.
Yeah.
Even Florida, Toronto.
Yeah.
But there's just something so fun about watching a team play spoiler who has absolutely no business making
true.
playoffs.
It's true. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Well, I think that's it.
That was a short epi.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fun.
All
We'll
right.
call this the nostalgia episode.
It really was. It was really nice to actually sit back with y'all and talk a little bit about two of the greatest ever.
Yeah, take a trip down memory lane, kind of like just recall the entire 20-year plus seasons. It's just like...
All right, y'all. This was a blast. As always, I'm your host, Tico. This is my co-host.
I'm yours truly.
Over there, we got the producer. And yeah, as always, keep your dang head up.
Keep your head up.
Boom.
Stick talk. Stick talk. Stick